just took the stage.
Okay.
I'll keep everyone up to date on what's going on.
Thanks. I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, February 3rd, 2016 meeting of the Ann Arbor Downtown Development Authority. Susan, would you please call the roll?
Delighted. Tom Crawford.
Here.
Bob Gunsel. Here. Roger Hewitt.
Here.
Rick Clough. Here. Joe Lowenstein. Here. Al McWilliams.
Here.
John Moat.
Here.
Christian Ryan.
Here.
Keith Orr.
Here.
Sandy Smith.
Here.
John Split.
Here.
Bill Weiss.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. All right, first on the agenda, we have audience participation. We have a maximum of 4 people, 4 minutes each. Would anyone like to address the board? This might be first. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next. Reports from city boards and commissions. Ray Detter, Downtown Area Citizens Advisory Council.
I'm going to hold on to my lip because I cut myself shave just now. The Downtown Area Citizens Advisory Council strongly supports the DDA efforts to develop a plan for improving the pedestrian experience and traffic and parking design of South University in preparation for future development of that area that's already taking place. Last night, Amber Miller and Susan Polley joined a large number of CAC members and also downtown residents to give us an opportunity to participate in this important process of shaping a better future for South University. Those who participated in last night's survey and very active discussion now seem to agree that we are not going to recreate South University the way it once was. Much of the village identity, of course, is gone. The 3 high-rise student rentals now dominate the area with another on the way. Much of what remains of South University will continue to be changed. Our commitment is to be actively involved in helping to encourage future developers to design changes that will make use of the DDA and other public efforts to improve the potential of the area. What kind of buildings, what kind of stores, what kind of pedestrian and auto traffic, what mix of residential possibilities and business possibilities will create a newer South University that will be identified as a particular place that will benefit those who live there, as well as those who are attracted to visit there as a part of their downtown experience. That includes good design, a mix of attractive retail shops, we hope, variety of dining and entertainment experiences, and etc. But still with a certain funkiness that's always been a part of the area. We look forward to continuing to be a part of this creative process. In the few minutes left at last night's meeting, we went out quite late, we briefly discussed the recent City Council decision to move ahead with negotiations with representatives of Core Spaces, LLC, for a possible building on the city's library lot. So now bleeding lip and running nose. But we'll manage. Last month, the CAC asked me to express our position to Mayor Taylor and City Council that we did not want anything, thank you, to be built on the library lot until the community has a public examination of the possibilities to connect the block with related benefits in the area. We now have the 12,000 square foot plaza as a requirement. We also want whatever goes on the library lot to consider the possibilities of connecting to and improving Liberty Plaza, cooperating with First Martin on whatever they hope to develop on their sites, relate and connect to the Blake Transit Center and the former YMCA site, avoid negative impact on nearby historic and residential properties, and clearly benefit the continued operation of the district library on the block. We should also be thinking of the way in which development of the library lot will eventually connect to and relate to the future development of the Allen Creek Greenway. This is all a very significant block and all connected and should be connected in the process really of our developing something on that site. The Council's passage last month of a resolution to affirm and approve Core as the selected developer of the library lot may be a critical piece in creating a successful downtown environment and major sorts of improvements. Unanimous passage of an amendment submitted by Sabre Briere added affordable housing and a higher LEED certification to the things that I've already mentioned. And the CAC looks forward to the process of public discussion on all of the above important areas and concerns that may or may not lead to a negotiated sale of the property. Thank you. Thanks for the napkin.
Thanks, Ray. Would anyone else like to address, or not, any other reports, boards and commissions? Right, DDA member communications. I have one as the DDA representative on the Connector Management Committee. We had a first formal meeting in quite a while last week, and most of the meeting was concentrated on reviewing a rather extensive slideshow about the connector that's in production and being readied for the public. If everything goes as planned, I should be able to present that slideshow at the next Operations Committee meeting and at the next board meeting. That will explain a lot of what's going on. That's all I have. Anyone else? All right. Susan, Executive Directors.
I just have a very brief report. It's just to let you know that this past weekend I was asked to present at the 2016 Safe Streets Summit in Broward County. This section of Florida, if some of you have not been there before, is a really interesting place to have a Safe Streets Summit. The roads there are 6 lanes wide. There are miles between intersections. When there are sidewalks, they're kind of an afterthought. There's no amenities like trees. But it's clear they're starting to see that this isn't going to be fruitful going forward. They've got to make changes. And it was a chance for me to reflect on things here in our area. We are perhaps as diametrically opposite to that as you could be, and yet even still, there's room for us to consider ways to make our streets more safe. It's a good thing we did our framework plan. I think it got us thinking about the road width and what we can do about it. But I think some of the things just to put, it's on my thinking cap and maybe for you as we go forward. One, that goal of prioritizing pedestrians downtown is never done. When we did the 5th Division project, there was a loud bit of opposition when we created those bulb outs at the corner to limit the amount of distance you had to cross. And likely we'll hear those things again from the people that are driving their car. And somehow or another, we have to keep asserting the preeminence of pedestrians in downtown. The other thing is traffic speeds. It's astonishing when you go to a place where the posted speed is 45 and people are actually doing 55. In our downtown, we also have issues of speed, and I think most notably, we're going to have conversations with MDOT about Huron Street, because our goals for a pedestrian-friendly Huron may be in opposition to what their goals are, which is to move traffic. And then the last, I was struck again sort of from a distance at how we could be doing even more with education. A few years ago, with the Get Downtown program's help, we had banners across the street, share the road, posters. I still see some of them up in windows. And I'm renewed in my enthusiasm to work with the city and with Get Downtown on those sorts of initiatives. It's meant to share that information. This is how we expect things to be downtown, which includes, bikes have a right to be in the road, be on the lookout for pedestrians. So again, going to someone else's Safe Streets Summit made me think about our own work and how important it is. So thank you.
Susan? Okay, next. Approval of the minutes from the January 2016 meeting. Do I hear a support?
Support.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion on approval of the minutes? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next, subcommittee reports. First is the Finance Committee meeting report. Marie?
We had a meeting on January 14th, and the DDA has been working very hard as a board. We've had several requests for grants from the city, and we've taken a lot of time as a board to put together grant guidelines going forward so that we can be more process-oriented in our approach to responding to the grant requests. We had 4 that came forward. Not all 4 were approved for the next level of approval here at the board, but 2 were. At our committee, we reviewed the recommendations, and we also considered the 10-year plan in that, so we got together separately. We had a full board discussion. We went through the process. We went through the 10-year plan, and there was a tremendous amount of very positive discussion about it. So I'd like to move a resolution to approve a grant to support the new farmers market with 4 points. It's a grant in the amount of $175,000 from the fiscal year 2016 TIF budget. The new market structure will help encourage more economic activity in and near the market during the winter months.
Okay, do I hear support for the
Oh, you want me to
resolution?
say that?
Support.
Here, now go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then the last one, since I already said two, is that the project met grant policy requirements as well as was within the DDA's mission. Any discussion?
Sandy?
I'd like to offer some friendly amendments. I hope they're friendly. Second, whereas at the end of the, where the semicolon is, I'd just like to have added in the amount of 200,000, which would be the second. So the whereas the Public Market Advisory Commission, a Parks and Recreation service unit at the city, is pursuing the construction of a new market structure and applied to the DDA for a grant in support of this project in the amount of $200,000, semicolon. Just to make sure that we're identifying what the amount of the original grant was.
Grant request.
Yes.
Correct, grant request. And a second piece is I'd like to remove the last whereas in its entirety and replace it with the whereas that you can find on the next page on 19 that basically says, so that they are the same. Whereas this grant was reviewed by the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee recommends approval by the DDA board. It's just a little wordsmithing, but it's consistency. So I hope they're friendly. As a seconder, it's friendly to me.
Okay, do I hear support for the amendment?
So
Take
that whereas.
Support.
Take-
Support Tom. Okay. Okay. Discussion.
Sounds like it's just keeping things consistent and clear, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything fundamentally.
Not at all.
Yeah, the second, the whereas is being, the last whereas, the Finance Committee information, I think, is better put the way that it is in the second one, so I support it.
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion on the amendment? Okay. All in favor of accepting the amendment to the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, discussion on the amended.
If I could, I see that there are some folks from the city that could answer a couple quick questions. Excellent. The grant.
Yeah, I will. I'm Sarah DeWitt. I'm the farmer's market manager, and Colin Smith is also here as well, the parks manager. So fire away.
Great. It's pretty easy. You requested 200,000, and what we've talked about is approving it 175, and it's going to be in this current fiscal year. Tell me how that impacts your plans, if any.
The amount from 200,000 to 175,000 should not impact the project. I think we'll be able to carry on as we proposed in the grant application to you.
Fantastic. That's all I got.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution passes.
So the second one, I'd like to move a resolution to approve a grant for the state theater.
Support.
The grant,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the grant is for $200,000, $100,000 from the fiscal year 17 budget, and $100,000 to be approved for the fiscal 18 budget. The restoration, this is for the restoration of the deteriorating outdoor marquee, which is part of a larger project. The project met the grant policy requirements as well as the DDA mission.
All right, Sandy?
I would propose some more wordsmithing, because that's what I do.
Don't swap the
Yeah,
amendments
don't
again.
you?
We'll have to go back to the last one.
I would propose a friendly amendment that the third whereas, the amount of the 200,000 is replaced with 525,000. saying is whereas the DDA was asked for a $525,000 grant, and to extend that statement to, at the end of marquee, say, and to install a new elevator, semicolon. So basically reading, whereas the DDA was asked for a $525,000 grant in support of the restoration of the State Theater's deteriorating outdoor marquee and to install a new elevator, semicolon. I will leave the last whereas intact to match the one we just passed, but to make a slight addition to the resolved clause, adding on the words for the restoration of the outdoor marquee, period. Meaning it's resolved, the DDA approves a grant in the amount of $100,000 from its fiscal year 2017 TIF budget and $100,000 from its fiscal year 2018 TIF budget as recommended by its finance committee for the restoration of the outdoor marquee, period. I hope they're friendly.
Do I hear support?
Support as recommended.
Support. John? Okay.
You can pull it out.
Discussion on the amendment. Tom?
The comment about the funds will be matched by $3 million plus in private funds. Trying to recall, would the distribution of the DDA funds be made prior to completion of the $3 million? How is that anticipated to work? I just want to be clear on what those words mean.
I don't think there's any, as I read it, there is not any requirement in here that they raise a specific amount of money. Perhaps, Lee, could you step forward and clarify?
Oh, real quick, are we, is that different than the friendly amendment? Or is that a, should we move
Just
that?
It's just a question.
Just a question.
We should.
So
let's-
We should, that's what I'm saying, we should
Yeah,
vote on the
sorry.
amendment
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry, I
Yeah.
did. I missed
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, first let's vote on the amendment.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I'll leave.
We're really good at making people stand up and sit down.
Okay.
So you're asking whether,
What the expectation is for the DDA's distribution of funds, whether the $3 million in private collections are achieved before the DDA distributes the funds, or how is that expected to be
not
managed?
sure how your guidelines work, but I can say that we've already achieved that level of funding. So,
But I think the way it's worded here is that that's just one of the things that we found favorable about the proposal.
Okay. But you are confident you've already reached that goal?
yes, we have. The entire project is now right at about the $5 million level, 4.75, and we will be doing the state work first. We actually anticipate completing our final goal for the mission too, which is, but in the event that we do not reach our total goal, the state work is going to be completed first in any case.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Lee?
I'll ask you the same question. I assume that the reduced amount doesn't hinder your ability to go forward, that you asked for the 525, by getting the 200 stretched over these 2 fiscal years won't prevent the project from going forward.
It will not prevent the project from going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Very appreciative.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Lee. Okay. Any further discussion about the resolution?
I'll just comment, I'm impressed with the process and the work that the committee did and the deliberation they had on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very thorough, I thought.
It was.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
So the other business in the finance committee, we reviewed the second quarter financial statements, which are in the packet, so if anybody has any questions, you can ask. The budget preparation, we reviewed the draft 2000 fiscal year 17 budget and some suggested changes. The committee will review it again at our next meeting in anticipation of presenting it to the board for approval at our March monthly DDA board meeting. Anybody have any questions on the financials?
Just for a quick summary for those at the board, as I looked through, I saw nothing that was particularly off from our budget process for this year, and there's spending year to date. Is that consistent with your reading of the financial statements?
Yes. The next committee meeting is Tuesday, February 23rd at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you. Next, capital improvements. John?
Thank you. At our meeting on January 20th, JJR Smith Group came in and showed us some options and notions for how to accomplish our goals for South University. They're looking at ideas that are responsive to both the public and focus groups, which included items like street safety, sidewalk safety, greening, keeping it green along there. So those items that are consistent with this notion of the project, it's a maintenance project. It's to maintain, bring it back to its appropriate condition and consistent with our development plan. There are a couple of things when city staff looked at it that we could consider as something to add to the project, which would bring it up to standards for current stormwater and pedestrian safety at intersections, improvements, things that have changed in the last 20 years. So those are things that we would expect that JJR Smith Group will kind of focus on and come back with some better costs. And it's one of those things where we need to be very diligent to maintain our budgets and know if we've got dollars available. So it'll also go through finance and sort of see where we are from a budget point of view. All in all, I think folks are excited about it, and I expect they'll come back with a fairly detailed plan at our next meeting. Any questions regarding Southview?
When are the proposed plans going back to the community?
Yes, a good question. Yes, they're going back later this month or early March. Okay. So there'll be another round. So once we get a chance to see it at our next meeting on February 17th and sort of firm things up about what we feel appropriate to present, there'll be that loop that'll happen before our March meeting.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Jim.
Sure. Any other questions? Fifth and Detroit project, we approved the contract for the consultants and the budget amount. Is there anything else that's really there? I think obviously the main attention's been put on Southview at this point. Is there anything else to report?
Yeah, well, the agreement was approved by council, and now they're just moving through and we're getting signatures both from DDA and city.
Great. Thank you. So our next committee meeting, Wednesday, February 17th at 11 a.m.
Okay, thank you, John. Partnerships, Joan and Al.
Yes, our partnerships committee, we have a new format, which is that we're still going to meet every month, but every other month it will be DDA only to talk about grants and that kind of DDA business. So this past meeting was the meeting with our partners, and we had some very good and intensive reports from City Council, the Planning Commission, and from Washington Community College, and shared with them what we're doing on Southview and some of our other projects too. So it was very fruitful, and I think it's recorded very adequately in the minutes, so anybody can look at that to see more information. But our next meeting will be the DDA only meeting, and that's next Wednesday at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Operations, John Stewart.
Actually, I think I start this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The confusion of co-chairs, right? Let's see. And I'd like to start off with moving a resolution, which you will find on page 35, which is to enter into a contract with, I guess it's actually Maven, but it's the GM car share program.
Support.
the support. Let's see, so GM has begun a new car share program. It's in many ways similar to Zipcar, which we have supported in the past. In fact, when we started with Zipcar, we actually were subsidizing its because we felt like it was so important to get car share into downtown. It's been successful enough that did we ever have to pay for subsidy on it? A little itty bit. We did continue to subsidize it a certain amount in that the parking was under market. GM has come to us. They currently have an arrangement with U of M for 21 spaces, and they've requested spaces in our system. There are 10 spaces, which are enumerated, I believe, here on page 36. And we had talked about those specific ones in committee. One of the things that was brought up at that point was they were looking for some charge point locations. It turns out that the ones at 4th and Catherine are fairly underutilized, so that became a pretty obvious place for us to recommend that. And it's also at market rate, all of these. So there's no subsidy involved. It's really just promoting car share as a viable alternative and supporting them by providing the spaces at market rates. Also attached is the actual contract, which we had not had a chance to, well, we didn't see the final version last week because there was still a few things going back and forth, but the final version has been reviewed and approved by our attorney. Yes, Jared? Yes. So that's the proposal, discussion.
I have just one question. On any of these, are we cutting in line on any waiting list people that want these spots?
Well, these are...
Or are these in spaces that we have?
What a good question.
So in this instance, we would be establishing a parking space for them.
Right.
So I think you can interpret it one of two ways. We're basically creating an additional permit, so they're not taking a permit away from somebody. It's a new allocated space. So it would, maybe a better way to look at it is one less or two less hourly spaces available to the public.
Okay. Right. Nancy?
The concern that I was giving GM 60 days to pay us, and Susan has already sort of allied those concerns, knowing that GM can take 60, 90, 120, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. They're just huge. Apparently that's been addressed. And
yeah, the question was why 60 days, and the answer we heard at committee was it takes a while with a big organization to get the right signatures for the right approvals, and once we get established and are on their computer system, they should be paying just regularly every month thereafter. It's just the first period of time they needed some ability just to get their systems set up, and I think we felt assured that that's not a problem thereafter.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes.
And then the only other thing I have to report is about the Nelson Nygaard study. Just as a quick review, we did start a transportation and demand management study with Nelson Nygaard. And more information about it is on the DDA website, including the report as it is right now, though it is draft still on every page, though we were getting closer and closer to taking that word draft off. We reviewed it at the committee. Already many of its things are informing the way we look at parking demand, transportation, and possible projects moving forward.
Maybe Keith? John?
Excuse me, on pages 43 through 46, we have the monthly parking and transportation report. Hoping everybody has had a chance to look that over. If there are any questions regarding anything there, please ask Mr. Morehouse.
I got one quick question. There was a fairly substantial decrease at Maynard. It's not on my radar screen.
I'm assuming it's construction slowdown.
Yes, a year ago, we had a lot of construction traffic in there, which was very profitable traffic. And that has ceased as they finish the project.
Wow,
Clear it
it's
out.
made that much of a difference. I'm surprised.
Yes, when you have all those cars,
Yeah.
8 hours a day.
True. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
The university, the graduate housing project,
Yeah.
is I think most of that. Future studies, as most of us around the table know, our contract with our parking operator, Republic, is due to expire in 2017. Given that's happening, staff has recommended that we review our parking procedures so that in our next contract, whoever it may be with, in our next RFP for the parking contractor, we would be able to include some procedural updates in that RFP. And so we sent out an RFQ and had 6 firms respond to the RFQ, and we are going forward with 2 of those firms for an RFP. And as that RFP is most likely going out before our next meeting, that we will be setting up interviews, etc., after we receive those RFPs and go forward from there. The last thing I have is the Fourth and William construction. The demolition of the old stair is complete, at least above ground. The next steps are to do the at-grade below-ground demolition footings, and then we will start to go up in the air with the first of the 2 new 2 new elevators. So again, we are supposed to be done with that first elevator about Art Fair of this year, and the project should be complete about a year from now. So any questions about that one?
Just a comment that I got to walk the stairs this morning for the first time. They're beautiful.
I agree, they are beautiful.
We have bank employees that use that structure every day, and I get compliments about it all the time, so. Yeah.
Good to hear. That's all I have. Our next committee meeting is Wednesday, February 24th at 11 a.m.
Just might make a note, we also discussed a couple other potential future studies that we might be supporting. One would be looking at the feasibility of a circulator in the downtown, and also the next phase of the connector study, which is the environmental impact study. It would be a 2-year study that we would be one of the 4 partners involved in funding. The others being the city, the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority, and the University of Michigan. And the University of Michigan has indicated that they would be a majority funder of that study.
Super majority.
Yes, a very hefty chunk of it. Okay, thank you. Questions? All right. Last executive committee. There's a resolution.
Yeah, I'd like to bring forward a resolution to revise the DDA FOIA policies. You'll find them, the resolution on page 47. It's a fairly short resolution, so maybe I can just go ahead and read it. Resolution to modify Ann Arbor DDA FOIA policies. Whereas the state of Michigan put forward new Freedom of Information Act requirements for public agencies effective July 1st, 2015, which necessitated that the DDA modify its FOIA policies. Whereas the Executive Committee put forward modified DDA FOIA policies at the June 2015 DDA meeting, which were unanimously approved by the Board. Whereas upon review of the city's FOIA policies, the DDA Executive Committee recommends changes to the DDA FOIA policies to make them more similar to the city. Resolved, the DDA approves its revised DDA FOIA policies effective February 5th, 2016, as recommended by its Executive Committee.
Move the
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to move the
Do I have
resolution.
support? Sandy, support. Okay, discussion. The details are in
I would just like to note that this was provided in exactly the same form last month with no changes. So this has been out and I believe without comment on this. So this has been out both to the board and to the public for 30 days.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Keith.
I was just going to, for sort of public confirmation about this, that the policies largely are procedural and in terms of payment for things which are require a certain amount of time to the staff here, and that it actually there's nothing about it which is going to have any effect on our general policy of transparent or overall policy of transparency.
No, in fact, actually, it makes it more clear what is meant. The terminology might have been more opaque than before. The city's language is much more clear. So, for instance, what is meant by how you get a response back, we've actually clarified. You can ask for it electronically. You don't have to have it in paper. There's a lot of stuff in the state legislature, the language speaks to a cost per page. Well, generally FOIA requests are not being asked for electronically. So we're being just more specific, and I think in that way actually more transparent.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next executive committee meeting will be Wednesday, March 2nd at 11 a.m. Is there any new business? Would any members of the audience care to address the board?
Just very briefly, I just realized that I expressed gratitude prematurely when I left the microphone earlier. I was out of order, but I want to say thank you very much on behalf of our staff and board for the confidence in our project, and we hope that a year from now you'll see fabulous new marquee and new lighting on the front of the State Theater, as well as the Burton Tower is going to be lit behind. So it's going to be a whole beautiful, very exciting time for Ann Arbor and a new source of pride for the community. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
I wanted to echo that same effort of gratitude both to the board and to the staff who really did a lot of work in helping us to present our project in the best way possible to all of you. And we're really excited about moving forward, and this last piece of funding really energizes and sort of bumps our timeline to really be able to get going on this project and start site plan review and construction documents and final design in the next couple months. So you've really allowed us to move forward very quickly, which we greatly appreciate, and we're excited about how that streetscape will look and the impact that really this new structure will have, not just for the market, but for the entire Carytown neighborhood. So thank you very much.
What is your timeline?
Well, now we're now that you've approved this resolution, we are basically saying go to the architectural firm next week. They're going to begin design plans for us. We were just sort of in the general sort of waiting point with them. So we're going to start design plans and planning to do site plan review process through the summer and bring things to council in the summer as well for construction document approval and actual disbursement of our funds for the project. And then, barring any unforeseen conflicts, starting construction in the late fall. So trying to have as little impact on market operations as possible, but when you're running a year-round market, there's going to be some sort of kinks. But in general, the plan is to get this project constructed and construction underway in the fall of this calendar year. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address the board? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roger, you got your wish.
Yeah. Time to change. Let's do it.